What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
First things first, on Super Bowl Monday, is the GOAT debate now officially over? Wait for it, Wilds, because we're going to have some fun. Hey, what happened to the Chiefs? How did they let the Super Bowl slip away? And Tom Brady a champ again, but how should Bill Belichick feel? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday Morning New York First Things First.
What a day!
Jenna Wolfe, Brandon Marshall. Good day to you, Kevin Wilds. Forget how Bill Belichick should feel. How should our colleague, good friend, and always diehard Chiefs supporter Nick Wright feel this morning? Nick, buddy, how you doing, my friend? How are you doing?
You know, not great. I can't believe the rich get richer with the Dodgers signing Trevor Bauer. It just doesn't seem fair. They just won the World Series. I can't believe
that is where we're starting this morning. The big news over the weekend, Trevor Bauer not going to the Mets. Oh, you want to start with the Super Bowl? Well, let us do that. It is hard to believe, folks. It is truly hard to believe there was any doubt whatsoever about Tom Brady as the bona fide GOAT, as he delivered an affair to remember. 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to his BFF Gronk, and his defense, that Bucs defense, did the rest with a nearly perfect plan to get after Patrick Mahomes early and to get after him often. Season low 9 points for Kansas City as the Tampa Bay Bucs win Super Bowl 55 as Tom Brady wins MVP number 5.
This has been an amazing year. Amazing year. We got off to a good start, 7-2, and then had a little rough stretch where we kind of found our identity and played a lot better football down last December, January. And just really proud of all the guys, proud of all the coaches, the effort we put in. We knew we were playing a great football team tonight, and we got the job done. So you want to get this far, you got to get the job done, and we did it.
We were a very talented football team that nobody wants to give us credit for. But we're a very talented football team. We just need to believe. And the hardest thing is to build a culture where people start believing. And we started believing pretty early in the season. And we knew we were going to be a tough out. All we had to do was get in the playoffs.
No, I didn't see it coming at all. I thought we were going to come in and we were going to play these guys right, just like we've been playing teams. And it didn't happen that way. I mean, they did a nice job. I give them credit on it, but I didn't anticipate this happening. No, I can't tell you that.
I mean, obviously, I didn't play the way I wanted to play. But, I mean, what else can you say? All you can do is leave everything you have on the field, and I feel like the guys did that. They were the better team today. They beat us pretty good. The worst I think I've been beaten in a long time. But I'm proud of the guys and how they fought till the very end of the game.
All right. So, Nick, obviously there's a lot going on here. Let's start with this. Last night's game, was it more about the Chiefs' loss or the Bucs' win?
I think it's more about the Bucs win. And before I get into why, I would like to give a congratulations to Arthur Sears Herring, who's finally off the hook. He's the man who wrote Dewey Defeats Truman, and nearly 100 years later, finally somebody has a worse take. And it's my last 5 years of Tom Brady takes. So you're off the hook, sir. I now take that mantle for not just the lead up to this game, but for the last few years. Because everything that Brandon said the Chiefs needed to be worried about, they needed to be worried about, and everything that I dismissed happened. So I want to give the Bucs credit because I don't think it's about what the Chiefs didn't do. I think it's about what the Bucs did do. And in this game specifically, and I know Brandon will go on about this, so I'll be brief on this part of it, it was about Todd Bowles and that defense, as you guys discussed last week. Big picture-wise, though, it is about Brady. And Brady coming to Tampa after his own team didn't want him back, after the San Francisco 49ers didn't want him instead of Jimmy Garoppolo, and after myself and, to be fair to myself, many others counted him out and laughed at him throughout the year, talking about his bedtime and forgetting the downs and the inability to beat good teams. They were 7-5. They went into the bye week, and they have not lost since. So last night was a tour de force, majestic performance by the Tampa defense. The season is about what Brady brought to what had been statistically the worst franchise in sports and brought him to the Super Bowl, Brandon.
100%. I mean, you can talk on and on and on about Tom Brady. We can talk about so many different things. Last night was about the Tampa Bay Bucs and specifically Todd Bowles in that front four. That defensive line was tremendous. Last week we talked about this. We went in depth about it. If Tom Brady plays clean and that front four can put pressure on Mahomes and stop the run, it's over. They have no chance. We start going back to the Buffalo Bills game in week 6, and we went into the playoffs. And what did we talk about? Well, they had the perfect plan, but they didn't have the perfect scheme. Now you have personnel, and you have Todd Bowles with the perfect scheme, and if everything comes together, this is the outcome. That front four was relentless. You look at the first half, what happened? So that's why you saw Patrick Mahomes able to get out the pocket and pick up a few first downs here and there. But once they got the lead, it was lights out. Now you got the second half come around, and then you have this front four pinning their ears back and getting after Mahomes because they don't have to play run. And that was the difference in this game. We could talk about so many other things, but it all comes down to that front four's ability to get to Patrick Mahomes. You give that front four a lead, and you're not going to have a chance. Now all they have to do is just get to the quarterback. Wilds. It was a tremendous game plan by Coach Bowles, and that front four executed it perfectly.
Yeah, I thought Todd Bowles was a story. For everything that Brady has done in his career, I thought that when you see Superman flying around, we're like, oh, yep, that's what Superman does. But we had 2 Supermen this game, but only one had the kryptonite, and that's Todd Bowles had the Chiefs' kryptonite, so I think that was the biggest story. Nick, your guy, historically bad Super Bowl. His 4th worst passer rating in Super Bowl history, that's Patrick Mahomes. Your guy, Tyreek Hill. We were like, how many backflips is he going to do into the end zone? 2, 3? What do you think? Maybe he does a forward flip. He had 200-plus yards outside the numbers when they met up in Week 12. This time, just Week 3 yards. Not great. And this was the most amazing stat. Dusty gave me this one. Patrick Mahomes was chased for 1 million yards. That's a real stat, 1 million yards. And I know everyone's going to be like, how could we see this coming? We've seen Todd Bowles do this. Todd Bowles had the Aaron Rodgers kryptonite. Aaron Rodgers was like, yeah, I saw it coming. When Aaron Rodgers had that horrible game, 2 interceptions, low passer rating, completion percentage low, that's all Todd Bowles, and we saw it again. So, Nick, I think the story here is Todd Bowles. I think he deserves a Super Bowl ring. I think he deserves half of Brady's MVP trophy. I think he deserves a job offer today. And I know you're going to say, like, well, there are no job offers. Well, you know what? This is me as GM. Hello, average coach? Yeah, we're going to let you go. Okay, Todd Bowles will go. We'll see you later. I think Todd Bowles is the story of the Super Bowl, Nick.
The stat that you said, 1 million yards, the number is 497. Next Gen Stats had it. That is the number of yards Patrick Mahomes ran on scrambles and sacks. Think about that. nearly 500 yards, either running backwards, side to side, back and forth, just trying to create time. And Brandon, they did it the exact way you said they needed to, which is without blitzing. This was the third most blitz-heavy team in the regular season throughout the year. They were able to play two high safety the whole game and consistently get pressure. And I do wonder when Reed said he didn't see this coming. I don't think you picked the Bucs. You saw the blueprint. I don't think anybody saw total and thorough domination like this. I don't think anybody saw the Chiefs scoring 0 touchdowns coming. Though I do think if Andy Reid had to go back, a change he might have made is after the Fisher injury, instead of changing 3 offensive linemen, moving the guard to tackle, 1 tackle over to left tackle, if he just would have simply switched out Fisher. You know what I mean? Had your 3rd string tackle play left tackle so the rest of your line can stay in place, because they didn't know who they were blocking. I understand the Bucs have an excellent front, but they were getting there. People were whiffing. They were getting there immediately, consistently, and that's why Mahomes was running for his life the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, they were that good, and you go back to their matchup in the regular season. Talked about it last week. The first half, Mahomes did whatever they wanted. They could have put up 40 points. Second half was the blueprint, not only to beating them last night in the Super Bowl, but also getting to the Super Bowl. They used that same blueprint, that same game plan from Week 6 matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, and they used that against Aaron Rodgers. It was the same thing. So they was able to go out there a couple of weeks ago and execute it to a T. They brought that same game plan out because Todd Bowles can be, sometimes he can get emotional and sometimes he can be stubborn. And he'll go out there and play man-to-man and he'll blitz and he'll go just lights out on that end of the ball. But what did he do last night? He played soft coverage, mixed bag. He blitzed maybe 5 or 6 times, and those front 4 got the job done, Jenna. That's why they won. And Tom Brady played a clean game. He didn't give them opportunities to score late in the game.
Right. No, but you bring up a good point, Nick. It's hard to get anything done behind that shoddy offensive line Mahomes had last night. All right, much more on that. So with that, Tom Brady earns another Super Bowl ring to go along with his 6 others. He's running out of fingers. Does this officially sign and seal the great GOAT debate to be discussed next? First things first. You made it through the segment, Nick. We love you, buddy. Hey, First Things First listeners. I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports. Plus, a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Listen to Nick mumble under his breath, which he will probably do for the next 2 hours. That win was good enough to take home Super Bowl MVP number 5, Nick. Ring number 7, Nick, in terms of legend cemented. Here is the aforementioned Tom Brady on the perfect grand finale to finish off year 21.
It's been an amazing year. Amazing year. We got off to a good start, 7-2, and then had a little rough stretch where we kind of found our identity and played a lot better football down last December, January. And just really proud of all the guys, proud of all the coaches, the effort we put in. We knew we were playing a great football team tonight, and we got the job done. So you want to get this far, you got to get the job done, and we did it.
I mean, obviously I didn't play the way I wanted to play. But, I mean, what else can you say? All you can do is leave everything you have on the field, and I feel like the guys did that. They were the better team today. They beat us pretty good. The worst I think I've been beaten in a long time. But I'm proud of the guys now. They fought till the very end of the game.
So So, Brandon, this was the conversation all week. We had the GOAT in training, and we thought maybe something would come out of this game to help us with that debate. Did Brady officially close the door on that GOAT debate with a win last night?
Absolutely. I mean, he probably did it the last Super Bowl. We tried to start this conversation, because it's been good for football. It's been good for sports. It's reminiscent of the debate between MJ and LeBron. But how he did it last night, now it closes the door forever, Nick. I'm sorry. 7 Super Bowls, and then to beat Mahomes the way he beat Mahomes. Mahomes out there running for his life. Mahomes out there, throwing the ball all over the place. Even when he had time in the second half, he didn't look great. Now, I'll tell you this. Brady has probably ascended to the greatest of all time in all of sports. Just think about what he's done. He has the highest winning percentage, and I think I heard this from Romo last night on the broadcast, the highest winning percentage of any player in the 4 major sports. Tampa had the lowest winning percentage of any team in the 4 major sports. And in year 1, he takes them to the Super Bowl. It shows how special he is. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. You don't pay him to come in and throw for 300, 350 yards. That's not where he's valuable anymore. Where he's valuable is Monday through Friday. When he steps in that locker room, when he steps in that huddle, everybody believes. It's Tom Brady, the GOAT. You just saw it in your butt first, Jenna. He's like, man, Tom Brady has done this already. He don't care. He's been here how many times? But those guys in that locker room, when they see Tom Brady, they see hope. They see light at the end of the tunnel. And that's exactly what he did every single week this year, Nick.
So I agree with the majority of what you said, except for the very beginning, where you said it's closed forever. It's not closed forever, but what Tom Brady did yesterday by getting his 7th ring, it's Bob Beamon at the '68 Olympics. He has made the gap between him and second place so incomprehensibly large, it's hard to fathom it ever being broken. Now, Bob Beamon's record was broken. It took about 30 years, but eventually it was broken. And so forever's a very long time, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have a very long career. But right now, the gap is wider than it was when Mahomes stepped into the league. Because here is what Brady did yesterday. I agree with you that he ascended. I think he ascended, though, I'm looking at it in a slightly different way. To me, Tom Brady ascended past Jordan, past Russell. He already was obviously past Montana, but further past Montana, and joined only LeBron as the team sport athletes that guess what? They're the system. Where they go, the winning follows. Where they go, the championship experience and pedigree comes with them. Coach has no championship experience, no problem. Franchise has been a laughing stock for years and years, no problem. As great as MJ was, as great as Russell was, as great as Montana was, we never saw them have that level success outside of their organizations. Montana went to the Chiefs, played well, made an AFC championship game. Jordan went to the Wizards. Wilds likes to bring this up. Averaged 20 a game, played well, but they never made the playoffs. Brady joins now LeBron amongst the 2 guys who you say the coach doesn't matter, the teammates aren't the major factor, the system, the scheme. It's what those guys bring to the table. And that's the other thing he did last night, was he answered the Brady-Belichick question for the end of time. It's no longer Wilds, the Brady-Belichick era. It's the Brady era, and Belichick was with him for it. He answered that last night as well.
I don't agree with that. First of all, Belichick's got a few more years, as does Brady probably. So I don't think the book is closed. And like you said, Nick, the GOAT gap is open, but I'm never going to say never. I think you brought up an interesting point about LeBron, but oddly, I think you oversimplified it, because what I think the biggest takeaway was the amount of carpe diem that the Bucs were willing to go for. They're like, you know what? This is our year. They drafted Tristan Wirfs to protect Brady because Bruce Arians was historically bad at protecting his quarterback. They brought in Gronk They brought in AB. We know Bruce Arians was on the record not wanting AB. Tom Brady brought in AB. Like, all right, we'll go with AB. Brought in Leonard Fournette. Do we need more weapons? Yeah, bring in Leonard Fournette. And then they brought in some of the Patriots playbook. We saw early on, like, we run in my system, we're running your system. So the fact that they were like, all right, let's work. We have it right now. We'll sign you a 2-year, $50 million guaranteed deal. They weren't trying to plan for 2026 like these other teams are. So the LeBron thing that I thought you oversimplified was where LeBron goes, winning follows. But LeBron also GMs the team. You know, LeBron brings AD to LA. Right. LeBron it starts attracting more people. So I think it's probably an oversimplification to say where he goes, winning follows, but it probably sells him short on what he does outside the field, not just on the field. Maybe that'd be a better way to say it.
And bringing in Grunt, bringing in AB, I think is a really good point by you, Wilds, but that was unique to this season. That's something Brady hadn't done before. Brandon, the point you're making, which is what he does for the team Monday through Friday, the way he makes everyone believe more. I think you've talked about the pressure he puts on guys to do extra reps after practice, to work extra hard. That is where, I know it sounds odd, but that is where his fingerprints are even on some of the defensive success. His fingerprints are even on some of the offensive line success, right. Even though those guys are their own men doing their own thing. But it's the faith they have in the ability to win and the pressure they have to commit to excellence that I think he instills obviously far more than Jameis did last season.
Yeah, you said a bunch of things, and I just want to go back to a few of them. You talked about the GOAT, right? He's definitely the GOAT of football, 100%. That's done. You got to think about Drew Brees. You got to think about Peyton Manning. You got to think about Russell Wilson. You got to think about all these other quarterbacks that's come, made it to a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, MVP this year. Look how hard it is for him to get back to a Super Bowl. So when we think about him winning 7, and then you have Patrick Mahomes out there, and then you have other guys that can potentially come along the way, it's going to be hard for them to do it. This dude is 43 years of age. We're talking about the injury rate in the National Football League. To me, it is done. Now, the GOAT discussion around the greatest of all time in all sports, that will never be settled, okay? But, Nick, you said Bill Belichick. Like, I disagree with you totally. Like, this is a team sport. Now, Bill Belichick was the one that picked Brady in the 6th round. You heard Coach Mangini talk about it. Like, he was drafted in the 6th round for a reason. Under the tutelage and his development, the development from Bill Belichick had a lot to do with his success and why he's standing here today. So we can't just gloss over Bill Belichick and how awesome of a job he's done with Tom Brady throughout his career. So I think that's another discussion.
We will discuss that. Meanwhile, Jameis Winston's out here like, look how close we were. It was so close. Much more on Super Bowl 55 still to come. Let's talk some NBA first. Knicks giving out medals, and surprisingly, despite LeBron, that GOAT, hitting a couple of clutch threes in double overtime to beat the Pistons on Saturday, he did not win a medal. Nick, who did earn a medal this weekend?
It was an all-time night in the NBA. Luka gets the bronze. Unbelievable head-to-head duel with Steph. The Mavs got the win. Luka with a humble 42, 7, and 11. Go to the silver medalist. The silver medalist for this weekend, Nikola Jokic. This should have been a gold medal performance, but you lost, and somehow there was a better performance and a loss. Jokic, 58 and 12. And it can't be losing to the Kings, Denver. Come on now. No matter how good De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton were. And the gold medalist, Steph, in a loss. I think this might be our first gold in a loss. When you score 57 in the duel against Luka, you get the gold. So there it is. Great night in the NBA on Thursday. That's the last sports I watched for the weekend, so I don't know what happened Sunday in anything. But the Saturday night in the NBA, Jenna, was outstanding.
Good stuff. All right, we got to do something that we started off the show, a little trash talk. There was some trash talk coming at Super Bowl 55. Honey Badger and the GOAT had some words for each other. We'll discuss. It's next. First things first.
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Black History Month is a perfect time to reflect on all of our Black heroes. I wanted to talk about a personal hero of mine, Florence Griffith Joyner. She's a huge inspiration to me and was my sports idol growing up. She is the fastest woman of all time. She still holds the world record she set in the 1988 Olympics for both the 100-meter and 200-meter. Not only was she a dominant athlete, she was a fashion icon and designer. She embodied strength, passion, and style in a fearless and unapologetic way. Her power, beauty, and strength inspired me as a Black woman and an athlete. She was the fastest, the boldest, and is still the very best in history.
Some powerful words from our friend Joy Taylor. All right, we're going to take a turn, play some drawing a blank, Super Bowl style. Patrick Mahomes never really found his groove last night. Only the second time Mahomes threw a multiple pick game all season. So, Brandon, Mahomes' Super Bowl 55 performance was blank.
Yeah, I think the perfect word is humbling. You know, Nick, last week you flashed some notable stats and some cool statistics when it came to, you know, he's the fastest to do this. He's the first to do that. And I mean, it was all on and on and on and on and on. I mean, he had like 10 or 11 categories that he definitely owned. Yep. So the way he lost last night and the way Todd Bowles and that defense made him and his guys look, you got to say that it was humbling. This is a team for the past couple years have been on a roller coaster, but riding high. They haven't come down yet. They didn't hit that drop yet. Last night was definitely that fall for them, and I think this is going to be humbling, and I think it's going to make them better.
Yeah, I'm going to go tragically nostalgic because it had to remind him, and I know it reminded me, of watching him at Texas Tech. Run around for your life because we can't protect you at all and try to make magic happen. It looked so much like his college film of no time in the pocket, running from one side of the field to the other, and then trying to pull a rabbit out of his hat. So Wilds, for the first time in his pro career, I think he felt like he was back at Texas Tech being coached by Cliff Kingsbury. It was tragically nostalgic.
I was going to text you after that and Ndamukong Suh hit to the head. I felt like you deserved that one, Nick, if it's any consolation. I went with Rodgers-esque. This reminded me of Todd Bowles' defensive plan against the Packers, where we all settled in for a good game. We're like, this is going to be great. And then you look at it like, is this game over already? Todd Bowles, excellent job for 2 MVPs candidates. One guy got the MVP, and Nick, even worse news over the weekend. Mahomes didn't even come in second. He came in third in MVP. It didn't even make the show. I got to sneak it in there. Yeah. Shout out to Josh Allen. Good job, buddy. Silver medal.
I was waiting till somebody did. All right, guys, let's talk some trash. Tom Brady and the Honey Badger were seen jawing at each other throughout the first half. Ultimately resulted in Matthew getting flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. All right, Brandon, the trash-talking feud between Brady and Honey Badger was blank.
Predictable. We talked about it last week. You know, who's going to give bulletin board material? I picked the Honey Badger. I just didn't know he was going to do it mid-game, Nick.
Yeah, I went not the actual disrespect. The actual disrespect, and I love Andy Reid, but was the insane use of timeouts at the beginning of this drive. The Bucs were going to go into halftime. They were fine being up 14-6. The Chiefs called 2 timeouts, basically saying, we don't think Tom Brady can drive you down the field. Little did they know the Carl Cheffers crew had far other things in mind with those DPI calls. That was the actual disrespect. The actual disrespect was the timeouts by Andy Reid and company just daring Brady to go down the field.
Here's a hot take. Nick, buddy, I wanted to see more of this. You guys got bullied right away. Early on, with Tyreek Hill had his, cut off shirt, and then the Bucs came out in full pads. It just felt like they were ready the whole game, and Tyron's the only guy who's playing. Everyone else, throwing their hands up. Oh, look at what happened. Oh, just wanted to see more fire from the Chiefs. We didn't see it. Maybe on the parade in a few years. Maybe we could run that tape back.
In a few years. Hey, how about that Bucs defense? We've been talking about it all morning. A performance for the ages. Our guy Brandon predicted this on Friday. Great outing.
True.
Sacked Mahomes 3 times, hit him 8 times, picked him off twice. Hey, Brandon, Todd Bowles' coaching performance in Super Bowl 55 was blank.
Legendary. Not because of how they won, but it's who they beat and how they did it. I mean, think about it. It's Andy Reid on the other side. Hall of Fame coach, super creative, one of the greatest offensive minds out there. You have this guy right here, Patrick Mahomes, the baby GOAT, and then you have Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, who's 99 rated on Madden, and they're potentially the best receiver tight end duo ever. So when you think about how they did it, he made them look like Lake Howell High School in Orlando, Florida. That's what he did to this team. This offensive group, who's potentially the best that's ever done it. Legendary.
Yeah, I said Wilt's 100-point game, and here's why. Whenever there is an NBA record or near record, there's always at the bottom of the screen, aside from Wilt, aside from his 100-point game, aside from Wilt Chamberlain. And this is now what it's going to be for Patrick Mahomes. Anytime he has a bad game, it's going to be, that's the worst game of his career aside from Super Bowl 55. Yeah. That's the biggest loss of his career aside from Super Bowl 55. It's the least efficient he's been aside from Super Bowl 55. In every category, not only was this the worst offensive performance from the Chiefs under Mahomes, but I imagine it will be the worst for years to come. So it's Wilt's 100-point game, Wild. It's going to live on for years and years and years.
All right, I went with the heated seat. It's not a hot seat, it's just a heated seat. And Todd Bowles being available for a head coaching job makes me think that GMs and owners have to have a conversation today. Like, are we sure we love our coach? So I just saw this guy shut down Patrick Mahomes, saw him shut down Drew Brees. Aaron Rodgers played okay, threw 3 interceptions. So I think someone's looking around, not 3 this time. I think someone's looking around and saying, maybe Todd Bowles should be our head coach. I think you've got to have those conversations if you're not in love with your coach today.
All right, moving on. The compatriots congratulated Tom Brady last night on Twitter. A little awkward for Bill Belichick, perhaps, who could have used a Tom Brady this year after he let that Tom Brady walk last year. So, Brandon, Tom Brady winning his Super Bowl with the Bucs should have Belichick feeling blank. Be honest.
He should be proud. He drafted him. He developed him.
That's nice.
I mean, this guy picked him in the 6th round with the 199th pick. Like, this dude should be proud. This is his baby. But obviously, all of us on television is going to talk about who was more important, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady. Bill Belichick right now is like, you know what? That's my guy.
Yeah, Brandon, that's a very nice answer. It's also the absolute wrong answer. You know how Bill Belichick should be feeling today? Like me.
Let's hear it.
Bill Belichick should be feeling just the way I feel. Like a total bleeping moron. That's how he should feel. Exactly how I feel. Just stupid. Angry at yourself, regretting a lot of decisions, rehashing things, saying every decision I've ever made in my life has led me to this moment sitting here today. Bill Belichick, he wanted to stay. And by the way, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, new Hall of Famer John Lynch, shouldn't be feeling so hot either, as this offseason, that's where Brady wanted to go. And they're like, no, let's stick with Jimmy G. So they should all be feeling like me, just stupid and angry. But they're not broke. I'm broke right now.
All right, I went with motivated.
I love it.
Here's the weirdest thing about it.
What?
It's been 18 months since Tom Brady put his Massachusetts house up for sale. He went and played a full season with the Patriots, and now he won the Super Bowl. Patriots still do not know who their quarterback is going to be next year. It's been a long time. So when you saw the house go up for sale, and we wrote all the articles, Bill Belichick should have had some plan. Right now, I do not know who's going to be the Patriots quarterback. We've got to figure it out soon because I'm starting to get quite nervous, to be honest with you, Brandon. I'm thinking maybe he's happy. Your old buddy Kevin Wild's pretty nervous.
Listen, after hearing all this, after watching all that, maybe the Patriot way was the Brady way after all. But back to last night's game. Did the Bucs win it or did the Chiefs lose it? We will ask, we will answer. It'll be next. This is First Things First. First things first, we're back in Tampa Bay for the game of games last night. Was there ever really any doubt about Tom Brady's GOAT status? Because if there was, it was put to bed last night. 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to his guy, his best friend, his Marnie, Rob Gronkowski. And that Bucs defense did the rest. Bucs win Super Bowl 55. Brady wins MVP number 5. And we win Michael Vick joining us this morning. Mike, you were on the Brady bandwagon all season long. We got to ask you, was Super Bowl 55 more about the Chiefs' loss or the Bucs' win, in your opinion? And good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Jenna, and good morning to all. Look, this was more about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in totality, the entire team in all 3 phases: offense, defense, even special teams. Ryan Suckup got in there a couple times and banged out a couple extra points and field goals. And you know, when you look at everything, when it all breaks down, I think when, you know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was able to exploit the Kansas City Chiefs in the offensive line, Patrick Mahomes had no chance from the first snap of the ball game. And Brandon said it. And I underestimated it. I even said Todd Bowles and his defense and the scheme. I said I'd take speed over scheme any day, meaning misdirection, right? Meaning screens, meaning putting the ball in the hands of Tyreek Hill. I'm gonna keep it 100 today. That's all I seen. I gotta be real.
Thank you.
But you know that wasn't the case. You know, the case was, you know, they came in, they took advantage of everything that was put in front of them. You see the push by Dominic Sue, you know, and they played some good football. And the Bucs team, they was hot. They came in. It was about Brady getting his 7th. It was about Bruce Arians getting his first, and the rest of those guys who didn't have a chance to win one in their career and finally got to this point, getting there and getting it done. So, man, it was more about the Bucs in all 3 phases.
I appreciate that, Mike. That's why I love you, man, because you can come up here on national television and say, you know what, I was wrong. Nick, I don't know if it's because I know you, I'm on this show, but everybody hit me up yesterday like, Brandon, who do you like? Tampa or KC? I said, listen, do you not watch the show? I've been talking about it for weeks now. Everybody's asking me, you know, who should I pick because I want to bet $20 here. I'm betting my aunt $40 on who's going to win. Is it going to be the Bucs or is it going to be?
I actually took all those bets.
The Chiefs.
I was on the other side of all those bets.
Oh, you took all those?
They all bet with me.
It wasn't your aunt, it was
everybody
Nick.
hit me up and I said, right. And I said, guys, it's simple. It's going to come down to Tom Brady playing clean. And if Tom Brady plays clean and he doesn't throw a pick and that front 4 gets to Mahomes, it's lights out. And that's exactly what happened. Now, obviously, there's 4 quarters. There's so many other moments in the game. There's so many other situations that we can talk about. But that's what the game came down to. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life all night because they were able to get pressure on him with that front 4. And the biggest factor was them getting that lead. You can't give that type of defensive line that type of lead. It reminds me of Robert Mathis. It reminds me of Dwight Freeney having Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning always had the lead, so that's why those guys was able to pin back their ears and get to the quarterback game after game after game. And that's what we saw last night, and that's why Patrick Mahomes looked the way he did.
Well, and I'll go a step further. Listen, I think this is about the Bucs, and we've spent a lot of time this morning talking about Todd Bowles and the brilliant defensive performance and the fact that the Tampa was able to rush for and constantly get pressure, play after play after play. But on the Chiefs side of things, the other thing that I saw was a team that never panics panic a little bit because they had a good game plan early on. You're going to rush. You're going to try to rush up the middle. Mahomes is running for first downs. They were running speed sweeps. And then all of a sudden, to me, the most significant moment early, aside from, I think, some very questionable calls in the second quarter, was after the Chiefs, it's 14-3 Tampa, and the Chiefs are driving, and in that moment, at the 2-minute warning of the first half, speaking of gambling, it's 14-3 Tampa. The Chiefs are in the red zone, and the live line was a pick'em. Meaning, even though the Chiefs were down 11, Vegas said it's a coin flip game. Why? Because everyone thought the Chiefs were going to score a touchdown there, then get the ball to start the second half down 14-10. When Tampa held them to a field goal there, I think the Chiefs started to press. And you saw it by the fact that Andy Reid called timeout, and I love Andy, but it was inexplicable. Brutal. Calling timeout on first and second down when the Bucs were going to go to halftime. They were going to go to half 14-6. But Andy felt the need in that moment to try to get a punt with 40 seconds remaining so you can add another 3 points, even though you were only down 6. Then all of a sudden it's 21-6. The Chiefs open the half with a field goal, not a touchdown, and the floodgates started to be open. So, Wilds, I thought you saw Tyreek drops a touchdown on an amazing play from Mahomes. Late in the game, Williams drops a touchdown on one of the most amazing incompletions I've ever seen. Kelsey dropped a huge third down pass early. I think you saw guys get a little tight, and the defense had no answers throughout the entire game for the Bucs. To be honest, pretty predictable attack. The defense after the first 2 drives could do nothing.
I agree. Mike, I think we've heard a lot of takes from the media and fans, but since you're our resident quarterback, I wanted to sort of have a thought experiment and see if we can get smarter on how 31 other quarterbacks are thinking about this game and how you would think about this game if you were still playing. Because we have 2 sort of competing narratives. We have the longevity of Tom Brady still getting it done at 43, and we have the carpe diem, seize the day attitude of the Bucs. Let's win right now. And they seem to be competing. So if I was a quarterback, I would sit here and say, I can play till I'm 40. I should relax and just make my play and I'll get to a Super Bowl. Or do you think I'm sitting here saying, you know what? The Bucs went all in on Tom Brady. They weren't worried about the salary cap. They were getting the players that they need, and they tried to win this year. What do you think the other quarterbacks are leaning towards, longevity or carpe diem, seize the day right now?
No, they think about winning it right now. You know, in today's game, you know, you don't know where your longevity lies. You don't know how long you're going to play the game of football. You know, it's about winning now. It's about building the team, assembling a team that you can, you know, push forward week in and week out with. And without that, you know, there is no longevity. Without the right team around you, you don't play for a long time. So it has to be a win now attitude. And all 31 quarterbacks around the league who are looking at Tom Brady, who watched this game last night, who watched how this team was put together, how he validated certain guys, bringing in Antonio Brown, bringing back Gronk. You know, you got to be more proactive. And I think when you look at guys like Deshaun Watson, that's really all they want. You know, so, you know, it's time for the administration to take a good look at, you know, what the players really want and what they're trying to stress and what they believe in and take it into consideration. And then you look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who just won a Super Bowl and probably going to win multiple because they got the right guy, the right leader, and they believe in his word.
Great question, Wilds, and great answer, Mike. I mean, think about these names. Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, hell, Aaron Rodgers, the MVP this year. Look how tough it's been for them to get back to the Super Bowl. So when you think about it, you got to go right now. And to your point, Mike, you know, the Deshaun Watsons of the world, even the Russell Wilsons of the world, they got to be looking at ownership. They got to be looking at their head coach. They got to be looking at their general manager saying, we got to do this now. because it's hard to win a game in the league, let alone a Super Bowl. So what can we do today to ensure that we are going to be in position to succeed at the end of this year? So great question, Wilds.
And Patrick Mahomes is hoping for both. He wants to win now and he wants to win for a long time. But it was a tough night for him last night. It did not go according to plan at all. How much of the loss do you pin on him? Do you put on his shoulders? We'll talk about that next. First things first. New tracks, new teams, and a new champion. It's the 2021 NASCAR season. The Super Bowl of NASCAR, if you will, starts in just 6 days with the Great American Race. The Daytona 500, Sunday, only on Fox. All right, so the Kansas City Chiefs may not have won Super Bowl 55, but Fox Bet Sportsbook already has them as the favorites to win Super Bowl 56, followed by Tom Brady and the Bucs. We already know Tom's coming back next year. He said as much. But what about his head coach?
Is there any chance that you might decide to retire after winning a Super Bowl? Will you be back with the Bucs next year?
Hell no, I ain't going anywhere. I'm coming back, try to get 2. And then we'll see after that. But no, this football team, I love these guys. And we have a great staff, great team. Hopefully Jason and I can get together and keep most of them and try to repeat.
All right, Mike Vick, who do you trust more to be back in this position next year, the Chiefs or the Bucs?
I'm going to go ahead and state my claim right now, and I'm going to gloat about the GOAT, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as long as they got Tom Brady behind the center, as long as Tom Brady come back, and I said it early in the season that this team was going to be a problem. Now, there's a lot of ups and downs throughout the course of the season, and for all the right reasons, we said things that were positive and negative, but they cleaned it up and they got it back. I expect Antonio Brown to be back. I expect this entire team to be back. They might lose Chris Godwin. He might be the only person to walk. I think they retained Todd Bowles. Wiles, he's not going anywhere. I heard your take earlier when the show first came on. He's going to be back. They're going to try to two-peat, which is what Kansas City tried to do. But as long as the GOAT is in the league, man, I'm not getting off the bandwagon of Tom Brady. And Nick, you know that's my guy. And I had to pick against him because I went against my old ball coach. I'm faithful. But at the same time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be back representing the NFC next season.
Yeah. Mike Vick's incredibly loyal. It's why he picked Andy Reid. Friends for years. I begged him to come be a part of this show, and now he just crushes me at every turn, every chance he gets. The Bruce Arians sound was the first time I've genuinely smiled in about 18 hours, because I am happy for Bruce. I think Brandon did a good job earlier demonstrating the importance of the way Bruce Arians has tried to almost single-handedly fix the NFL's massive problem with diversity hiring by filling out a staff of the most qualified, diverse candidates he can possibly find, pardon me, and helped him win a Super Bowl. So I am very happy for Bruce. But let's not be prisoners of the moment here. The question is, who do you trust to get back to the Super Bowl next year? What we know about the Chiefs and the AFC is this. There's no one in the conference that over the last 3 years has shown any ability to beat them. The only guy who's beaten them over the last 3 years is Tom Brady. He plays in the other conference. Conversely, the Bucs, while I do expect them to be back, and I think they have an easier path to winning the division because Breeze probably won't be back, the Bucs would have to go through Rodgers again. Russell Wilson, even though they didn't play them in the playoffs this year, again. The Kyler and the Cardinals, if they get it together. The rest of the NFC West. To me, there's a reason, Brandon, the odds are where they are. The Chiefs are, of these two teams, clearly the more likely team to be back in this football game. Now, if they both get back to this football game, could the Chiefs change 31-9 to a win? That's a different question entirely. But get back to the game, the answer is the Chiefs.
Nick, run it back, rematch. If they lost Todd Bowles, then I would agree with you that they had the hardest path back. but they have Todd Bowles, which means they have the better defense when it comes to when you're comparing them to the Green Bay Packers, when you're comparing them to the Seattle Seahawks, or any team for that matter. This is a complete team. On the other end, the Chiefs, man, they have no glaring holes. I mean, they really don't. Like, that was, that game last night, I don't think we'll see that again. That was just a legendary performance by Todd Bowles in that defense. So I trust both teams to be back there. And you got to think about the Tampa Bay Bucs, right? The only question mark really is, can you get Shaq Barrett back? Yes, you can. You have the 7th most cap space in the National Football League. You got Tom Brady's age. Well, we've been saying that for the last 10 years. When is he going to be done? One more. So he continues to defy the odds. And then the other thing out there, really, you got to look at, can these guys can develop and even be better? They were drawing up this offense in the back of a high school in the dirt. Wilds. That's how they put this offense together. Right. So now they get another year and they get an off season to develop and build more chemistry. Oh, the Bucs are going to be better.
Here's the other thing. The Tom Brady GM hat is fitted on right now. We know he recruited Gronk. We know he recruited AB. So you got to look out there like, all right, who else wants a ring? Edelman's owed some money from the Patriots, and Bill Belichick likes to cut bait before, people start to turn. So I could see Edelman filling Godwin's slot. Guess who else?
That's not a plus.
That defense anchored by old veterans. You're like, do those guys still have it? Yup. And Ndamukong Suh, JPP. All right, Richard Sherman's still out there. Thomas Davis. Then you got this one. All right, if Deshaun Watson's leaving, you know what? I want to leave too. I'm J.J. Watt, and I'd like to go to the Bucs to play. So, Mike, I think that Tom Brady's magnetic force of guys wanting to play is just going to attract more and more guys now that they see this work.
Well, it's the LeBron James effect that Tom Brady has, man. That's one thing that the GOAT can do. You can recruit, you can bring players in to play with you, and you know what? They'll be more than glad to come join you, which makes this franchise even more stronger and powerful moving forward. I don't expect anything less than what you just said, Wiles. I expect a couple guys to come join the team as some guys, go off to bigger and better things. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a good place, in a good space, as long as Tom Brady is their quarterback moving forward. They're going to continue to attract free agents to some of the best players in the game, and they're going to be hard to beat moving forward.
Okay, this topic has now gotten the wind back in my sails. I've been a little down all morning. Seemingly still drunk off his Limeritas from last night, try to make the case that removing Godwin and putting in Julian Edelman makes the team better.
Hall of Famer.
That would make the team worse, my friend. That's first of all. Second of all, this idea that the Tampa Bay Bucs are all of a sudden going to become the destination for every player in the league. I do not buy that. You can be like, well, why weren't they? They were this year. Well, let's think about that. What were their 3 major additions after they got Brady? There was Leonard Fournette that the entire league could have claimed. Nobody did. So anybody could have had him. He didn't choose the Bucs. Anybody could have chosen him.
How did he do
They
last
decided
night?
not to.
He played okay last night?
It was by the... No. He was an excellent addition. No. Okay. He was an excellent addition. The rest of the league was wrong about him, but it's not like Leonard Fournette was like, Jacksonville, cut me because I'm going to Tampa. He could have ended up in Detroit. Detroit just didn't want him. There's Gronk, who, of course, Gronk picked the Patriots. He and Brady have matching bosom buddy tattoos. And there's AB, who he lives with him.
Well.
So those are not duplicable things. The idea that J.J. Watt's going to force his way there instead of like to Pittsburgh to play with his brothers is crazy. Yeah, you better cut me off. I'm fired up now.
75
This is
to 70.
so angry.
Yeah, you are.
So
Yeah, you
stupid.
are. Talking some trash,
So
Nick. You know who else talked some trash last night?
God,
These two,
dog.
Brady and Honey Badger. What were they talking about? We'll talk about what they were talking
Shockingly,
about.
Honey
Next,
Badger
first
got
things
the
first.
taunting penalty there. Brady started it, but of course Honey Badger gets the ball.
Time now for stories to start your morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. And we are starting with Super Bowl 55. This was a Super Bowl Tom Brady owned from start to finish. Sorry, Nick. It was good enough for him to take home Super Bowl MVP number 5, ring number 7, appearance number 10, Sorry, Nick. In terms of legacy, nothing but yes, it has clearly been cemented. Here is the GOAT, Tom Brady, on the perfect grand finale to finish off year 21.
It's been an amazing year. Amazing year. We got to a good start, 7-2, and then had a little rough stretch where we kind of found our identity and played a lot better football down last December, January. And just really proud of all the guys, proud of all the coaches, the effort we put in. We knew we were playing a great football team tonight, and we got the job done. So you want to get this far, you got to get the job done, and we did it.
I feel like he's so perfect in every way, but yet that was that big wrinkle in his jacket. I just wanted to pull it down. So, see, we all have issues, Nick. Brandon, I'll start with you, though. Did Brady officially close the door? Close the door on the good. Does it matter? Look where they finished. Did Brady close the door on the GOAT debate last night?
100%. I mean, there's two separate conversations around the GOAT when we talk about Tom Brady. There's Tom Brady, the GOAT in the National Football League. He 100% shut the door. Patrick Mahomes was the only person there that could push him. They went head to head. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. This is us watching what we wanted to watch or what we would love to watch in basketball. MJ versus LeBron James, LJ. We saw it. And look at the outcome. So he shut the door in football. In basketball, there's 15 guys in the locker room. In tennis, in golf, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods. That's an individual sport. In football, you got to lead 90 guys. You got 90 guys in the offseason, 53 guys on the roster in the regular season. How do you get all those guys in line and marching to the same beat, right? Like, it's hard. So when you think about his task, it was harder than anybody else's out there. So that's the second conversation. Can he potentially be the greatest of all time in all sports? So I think he closed the door, Nick. Romo said something amazing last night. I think it was Romo on the broadcast. He talked about, Tom Brady has the most wins out of any player in the highest winning percentage of all players in the four major sports. And Tampa Bay has the lowest winning percentage of all teams in the four major sports. And he goes in there in year one, takes them to the Super Bowl and wins it. This is amazing. He is the GOAT.
Okay. So I think it's silly to say the door is slammed shut. But right now, it's as close to closed as it's ever been. And I'm going to go to a different sport. I'm going to go to track and field. The gap right now between Brady and second place is Bob Beeman's gap after the '68 Olympics. It's like, all right, one day someone might beat it, but I can't imagine it, when he shattered the world record by nearly 2 feet. When it's 7-4 and all the guys with 4 are retired, and it's 7-1 against any of the active quarterbacks. I guess Big Ben has 2, but he's barely still an active quarterback. It feels incomprehensible that someone is going to beat him, at least when it comes to counting the rings. You mentioned that Romo gave that stat last night. Romo also at the end of the broadcast last night essentially declared the only way Mahomes could ever pass him now in the greatness quotient is to get to 8 championships. I think that is nonsense, but that's a discussion for the next 10, 15, 20 years. The discussion for today, Wilds, is this. What Brady did do, I believe, is ascend to a new level, which is, think of Michael Jordan, think of Joe Montana. And Brady had already passed Montana, obviously. But those guys, as of 15 years ago, were the unquestioned GOATs in their sports. The only question with those guys is, well, what would they have done outside of their own cocoon, the system they came into? And with both of those guys, we saw it. It's like Jordan goes to the Wizards. Still really good, but not the same. And we blame that on age because we're not allowed to criticize Michael Jordan. Joe Montana, it's like, what would he look like? Oh, he goes to the Chiefs. Still good, gets the AFC Championship game, but doesn't win a title. Brady goes to the Bucs, the losingest team in sports, as Brandon just mentioned, and they immediately win a Super Bowl. So he joins a room that at the time only had LeBron in it, where it's like, nope, where I go, the winning goes. I am the system. And as you've mentioned, by the way, I'll also dabble in a little coaching, a little general managing as well, and helping you fill out the roster. So that Wilds, to me, is what Brady ascended to, is a special room where it's no longer, what would he have looked like without Belichick? Well, we just found out. He looks like a champion again.
Yeah. You know what? I think if you asked Tom Brady, or if you told Tom Brady, you're the best individual athlete we have, I think that he would say, you know what, I'm the best, I want to be the best teammate ever. And he shows it in a few ways. First, we'll say like a teammate for the coach and the GM. He said, this is who I want. I'll be your teammate coach. I'll help you with the playbook. I'll help you with the personnel. I want to bring in AB. I want to bring in Gronk. So he's a teammate with the coach. Also, Brandon, something near and dear to your own heart, he's a teammate for his own body. He has a team that's taking care of him and keeping him healthy with Alex Guerrero and the TB12 team. The other part of this, and sometimes when people say this, it feels like a shot at Brady, and it's not. But he knows the value of a team. The story of this game was about Todd Bowles. And when you look back at Brady's Super Bowl success, whether it's Malcolm Butler winning a Super Bowl, whether it's shutting down Sean McVay and holding them to only 3 points, whether being 14 points underdogs to the greatest show on turf and winning that, and 2 other Super Bowls they came in with the #1 defense. Tom Brady knows that it's a team sport. In between helping the general manager, his teamwork of his own body, and knowing that he needs a good defense to succeed, I think that makes him the #1 teammate of all time, Brandon.
Yeah, well, if he wants to solidify himself in that position, then you know what he could do? He can take a pay cut. And I hate to count another man's pockets, another man's money.
Wow.
But think about this. You have an opportunity to repeat. Oh my! Hold on. Hold on. I'm distracted. I can't even finish my point. What's going on here?
I went out. I had this custom made, boys. I had it custom made. Yeah. You know what? Tom Brady could take a pay cut, and you know what he could do? The Bucs could then send me some of that money. I don't know if you guys heard during my point, my doorbell rang. Do you know who that is? My bookie to pick up the money. It's on clock's ticking. Time's due. So I'm gonna go donate some plasma, try to sell this jacket to some Bills Mafia folks that can use it to taunt me, because I'm finished. Thanks to that old goat, I'm finished. This jacket will never be worn again. Brandon has permanent bragging rights. Brian's got a terrible grin on his face. I'm leaving.